Okay, you are a nutritionist and you're also a coach,
Health
apparently.
coach.
I mean, yeah, health coach. And so I think I would like, so I have a dietitian at the VA that I go to, and I've talked about that. And she's given me a lot of good information about menus and things about that, ways to improve my health and my weight. What is the difference between a nutritionist and a dietitian? What exactly makes you a nutritionist?
Yeah, that's a very, very good question, actually, Mike. And I had to sit down and really think about this because I associate myself as a nutritionist. And I always wonder, okay, so what is the difference? Well, really, if you look at dietitian, the official degree that they usually have is RD, registered dietitian. So in order
Uh-huh.
to get this, that requires formal university education. You get a bachelor's degree. If you want to work in the hospital, in the clinic, or academia, or do clinical
Hmm.
research, really, most of the time, the requirement is RD. You got to have a registered
Okay.
dietitian degree.
Is that a
Now,
license? Is that like a state
it's
license
actually
also?
It's actually a university degree. And
Hmm.
they can specialize in other areas. There could be dietitian for oncology or things like that. There are probably some licensing involved there. But
Hmm.
nutritionist, it's a little bit more of a generic term. Anytime there is some kind of nutritional counseling or advice is involved, that's when the term nutritionist comes up. And there's not an official kind of a law or rule around this, right?
Right.
So it's a little bit different. However, I can tell you that there's certainly several study programs as well for nutritionists. You can get a certified nutrition specialist degree as
Hmm.
well. I got mine is integrative nutrition health coach from Institute for Integrative Nutrition out of New York City, the world's largest nutrition school. So there's certainly certification programs out there. But the way I look at it, both dietitians and nutritionists, they have one goal in mind, and that is to use food as medicine. And they want to
Hmm.
heal you through food. And it's a very overused phrase, but Hippocrates said, let food be thy medicine, let medicine be thy food. And I completely subscribe to it. And I think food breaks us up, breaks us down and builds us up. It can be a slow death, or it can be a source of
Hmm.
happiness and health. So I think we need to pay a lot of respect and attention to our food.
That's great. Yeah, that's exactly kind of what I'm after. And I found a way to lose weight by regulating my food intake, but now I'm like wanting to make sure that I'm eating the right stuff. And there's a lot of information out there. So you went to a special school for nutritionists in New York, and so I've heard some of your videos before, and you talk about plant-based foods and eating a lot of fruit and that sort of thing. And then you listen to my podcast on how much protein is enough, and you said you have some different ideas. So I have been, and I tell my listeners it's grain of salt, because I'm trying to process all this information too. I've got information from my dietitian and online and reading books, and I would love to know your opinion on how much protein is enough.
You bet. You bet. I love that you're asking me this question. So you said it the right way. You said there's a lot of information out there. And
Mhm.
that's what I'm seeing, right? So I'm definitely here to express my opinion based on my training and education and personal experience. And I respect the difference of opinion. I just want to make sure that when people make a decision or they make a choice to do something, that they do it in an educated fashion, that they
Mhm.
consider the information, that they do the research, they think for themselves, they listen to their body. So, but when a person decides to do something just based on very cursory research or some kind of fad diet or something crazy, they're doing this without much knowledge. And to me, that's not freedom. That's not freedom
Mhm.
of choice. And I can't stand for that. So I always like to give kind of the other side of the coin. Here's another piece of information for your consideration. Respect your choices. But here's what I think. So first of all, there's a war of diets out there. And there's keto diet, there's paleo diet, there's
Mhm.
recently I saw snake diet and I saw shark diet. And I just said, OMG, you got to be kidding me. So it's pretty bad out there. It's nuts. And everywhere we go, in every store, every power bar, every powder, it says protein, 20 grams, 40 grams, 100 grams. You need protein to be full of energy, to grow muscle. It's just, you got to have it. Well, here's what I think. So we don't need that much protein. It's crazy. It's nuts. When you have too much protein, your body cannot absorb it. Your body doesn't know what to do with it. It breaks down into all kinds of different byproducts. Your liver struggles, your kidneys struggle. Really, my opinion, and that's ideally, you really only need 5% of your calories to come from protein. And I know it's shocking to most people. And if we take 5%, so say an average male, 2,500 calories a day, right? Just average activity. That's only 125 calories. That's only 30 grams, I think, if my math is right. So it's like a quarter of a cup of whatever you use for protein. I mean, it's not much at all. So, and yes, for full disclosure, I am plant-based. So I am vegan, and I've been one for over 5 years. And you can see I'm not protein deficient, and I'm not struggling from protein deficiency. I go to my doctor every year. I do blood tests. So protein has never been a problem for me. But honestly, I'm a firm believer that protein actually, the best protein comes from plant-based sources. Again, I respect everybody's opinion, but that protein is more available, bioabsorbable. A good spinach salad can give you more than enough protein. Every fruit and vegetable has protein. It's an amino acid. It's present pretty much in every cell. So you're not going to be protein deficient. And to kind of answer the question that's probably in your mind right now, so 5% protein, what am I supposed to do with 95% of the rest of my calories? Is it supposed to be fat? No, actually, you need to keep fat very, very low. You got to help your liver. Too much fat is not good. So that's why I'm going against the keto diet. The rest of your calories really should come from carbohydrates. But I'm not saying pizza, pasta, bread. That's processed. That's not good, right? It's okay to treat yourself once in a while. I'm not a Nazi. But I'm talking about, hey, a bowl of steamed potatoes with avocado sliced on it, with some onions and cilantro, and just go into town with it. Or baking a pumpkin or a winter squash, putting some honey and cinnamon on it, putting 3 bananas into your smoothie. That bananas actually help build muscle. I'm talking about eating carbs from fruits and vegetables, and it could be a blasphemy for a lot of people that are on low-carb diet right now. But just let me leave this question with one phrase. Your body runs on fruit sugar. Your brain runs on fruit sugar. Your heart and your muscles need fruit sugar very desperately. So low carb, eventually you're going to start craving some sugar.
Okay. So if I'm eating all these fruits, how do I be sure that I'm not, overdoing it? And because I know sugar eventually, if you eat too much, it's easy to get a lot of calories in a small amount of sugar. So how do I regulate that?
Understood. So this is where people mistakenly think that fruit sugar is the same as other sugar, that it's a bad kind of sugar. And they say, well, sugar is sugar. Hey, if I have this apple, oh man, that's just bad. Well, that's a big problem, a big misconception. Fruit sugar is very, very different from anything you're going to have anywhere else. And this is the kind of sugar that your body actually needs. And we need large quantities of them, in order to be sharp mentally, in order to have energy, in order for our muscles to work correctly. We actually need a lot of fruit sugar. Not processed stuff. So my answer to that, eat as much as you want. It's not going to hurt you. Some people do get spikes when they first start, when they're healing and they're dealing with chronic issues. Their body, there's not a lot, the things are not working quite right. So they start eating large quantities of fruit and they have the spikes, right? And they react to it. That's not fruit's fault. That's because the liver is burdened. There are other processes in the body that are not working correctly. And, insulin resistance, you're just not processing that correctly just yet. But as you stick with it, go slow, as you increase your intake of fruits and vegetables, really, slowly over time, you're just going to even out. You're not going to have those spikes. It may take time. Again, go slowly.
Okay. I got a question about, because you're talking about being vegan and going plant-based all the way. And you've talked about, I think specifically I heard that dairy, you think you really recommend against any dairy at all.
Yes.
What is so bad about meat and dairy that makes you want to recommend people avoid it completely?
Did you say what's so bad about meat and dairy, or just dairy?
Both.
Both. Yeah. Well, let me address meat first of all. when I work with clients, I tell them I'm not going to push you, and I'm not going to turn you into a vegan if you know if you don't want to do this. If you're having a organic chicken, if you're having a wild caught salmon, if having clean meat, by golly, yeah, go ahead. But please leave as much room as you possibly can for fruits, vegetables, leafy greens, and other stuff that I want you to eat. That's basically what I say. So there's certain chronic conditions where really meat is not recommended. Any kind of heart conditions, really, I'm sorry to say this, meat has to be off the plate. If you have kidney problems, I'm sorry, meat has to be off the plate. So it really depends what the person is going through. When it comes to dairy, there's not a single thing that I can say good about it. The number one thing is it does feed pathogens in your body. So if you're struggling with any kind of viral conditions, it just loves dairy. It just grows right off it. If you're struggling with, strep infection, it loves dairy. It just gets stronger. So dairy really makes you sicker for the most part. If you're a healthy individual, you have not a single worry in the world, you're running marathons, you're strong as a bull, dairy is not going to hurt you. But that's not the kind of people I work with. And dairy, when they exclude dairy, they start feeling better immediately.
Okay. Good advice. Good, strong support for that. I see. I see what you're talking about. So we talk a lot about, when you're talking about exercise, when you're talking about synthesis of muscle and just general well-being, our bodies are made up of 70% water. How does hydration play into this, and how much water do I really need?
I love that question. When I saw that question, I thought, oh, I love this. Okay, so most of us walk around chronically dehydrated. We just really are, and it's pretty sad. And a lot of us realize that, and we try to mitigate this by drinking gallons and gallons and gallons of water. We do definitely need to drink liquids that hydrate us every day in pretty large quantities. But here's the deal. Have you noticed if you're drinking a lot of water, just water, you kind of get that dry mouth and you feel like it's not really hydrating me at all. And you just keep drinking and drinking. It's like, what's going on? So the reason for that is, A, it could be poor quality water, plastic bottle, God knows what's in there, tap water, I don't know. Spring water is actually a little bit better if you can get a hold of that. But two is a lot of us, we're just not hydrating on a deep cellular level. And really one of the best tricks for that is any kind of water that you drink, just squeeze a little bit, like squeeze half a lemon into it. It makes it more hydrating immediately, and you start hydrating on a cellular level. You don't like lemon, orange, any kind of citrus, grapefruit, tangerine, anything you want, just squeeze it in your water, immediately becomes more hydrating. And two, that's very important, coconut water. Extremely hydrating. So if you're drinking Gatorade that looks like, I don't know, blue water, I don't know what's in it, it looks scary, that's not hydrating. If you're drinking coffee, just because it's liquid, it's actually dehydrating for you, and it runs your adrenals. If you're drinking tea, even if it's good herbal tea, the net effect is zero. It neither dehydrates nor hydrates you. Herbal tea is great, but it's not hydration. So coconut water, highly recommend, good quality. Taste Nirvana is a great brand. Get it in a glass bottle. And lastly, the best hydration you can get is from the living water in fruits and vegetables. So if you juice cucumber, it actually tastes awesome. The hydration factor of cucumber juice is, oh my God, it's off the charts. It will hydrate you immediately just from a small quantity. If you juice just celery, that's amazing. And my favorite is juicing watermelon. So in the summer, I go through like 1 or 2 watermelons a week because I just juice them, and it's amazing. It tastes so amazing. So, and I really feel that it hydrates me. I don't get that dry mouth feeling. So you do need hydration, but you just got to do it smart.
Great. I like that. I need more information on that, because I'm always hearing, drink tons and tons of water, but nobody told me how to drink it,
Exactly.
So
yeah. There's a few tricks.
That's pretty good. Now, this is a little bit off the wall, but when I, talk to anybody who has anything to do with health or medicine, I like to find an answer to this question, and I've always kind of wondered about it myself. If you have someone who is like really super smart, like Einstein, genius level, is there a price to pay for that somewhere? Are they, like the evil genius, the socially awkward geek, absent-minded professor, all those stereotypes? Is there any merit to that at all?
Oh gosh, and that was the toughest question, honestly. I had to really, really think about this. And truly genius people, we almost expect them to have some sort of extravagant behavior, that they're kind of off the wall and a little bit weird. And I did a little bit of research on this, just kind of dug into my own perception of this. Some people do say that operating at such a high mental capacity means that you have a completely different perspective of the world, and you don't really follow the socially acceptable norms as much as other people would. They just really stand out from the crowd in general. And honestly, historically, and this is not a ding on anybody, there's been a little bit of evidence that some of those people may be mildly autistic as well. There could be a little bit of that too. Again, not to ding anybody. And then really, I mean, the way I look at this, those are the people who changed the world. So I think we need people who think differently. We need people who are different and who want to make things better in this world. And I think if they have a bit of, absent-mindedness and they're a little bit extravagant, as long as nobody gets hurt, I think it's totally fine. I think homogeneous society is not a good thing. We always need variety everywhere.
I like that idea. Have a little flexibility. The person you're dealing with may be a genius. You never know.
Exactly.
So probably the most important question I have for you, okay, is I am out there trying to improve my health. I'm very passionate about it and all aspects of it: medicine, fitness, and diet. And there is so much information now. I mean, you can, and some of it is just completely crazy. But a lot of it sounds like it makes sense. Even like peer-reviewed medical studies, government agencies conflict with each other and things like that. So what is the best advice you have for all, people, my listeners, myself, people who are trying to get healthy and want to make sense of all this? Where can we go for information, and how can we process that?
So I think you're talking about, I want to eat healthier. What guidelines should I follow, right? I want to feel better. What guidelines should I follow? So I can tell you, yes, it's absolutely insane out there. And a lot of people think, well, if it's been peer reviewed in a clinical study in a well-respected medical journal, then that's it. Well, the problem is another study may come out just a year or two later, completely disproving the whole thing. Remember that we went low fat in the 90s, and that's what everybody was, crazy about. Then we went no sugar, and we realized, oh wait, that's kind of bad. So it's kind of ebbs and flows, right? So I would caution you not to jump on some fad or trend wagon, and be very careful about this. So usually what I tell people about this question is follow 4 simple principles, especially when it comes to what you eat or what diet you choose. So I usually say, whatever diet you decide to do, please just leave as much room as possible for fruits and vegetables. I don't care what you eat. If you eat donuts all day, okay, fine. Not a good thing. But please just have room for fruits, vegetables, leafy greens, a little bit of wild foods, nuts and seeds. You need this for your health. That's where long-term health comes from. Okay, and then the rest of it, I'll just close my eyes. We'll work with what you give me. So I'm not against any particular diet. I feel strongly about keto. I don't recommend it. I'm not, that's not a good thing. But other than that, I just say, hey, you got to eat plants. You got to have plants in your life. And 2, whatever diet you pick, it must be low fat. So if you're told to drink fat through a straw, please run away. That's not good. It's going to bog down your liver. It's going to kill your adrenals. It's not going to be a good thing. Then I usually say, so number 3, any diet that tells you to go fast or do intermittent fasting or not eat for more than 4 hours, run away as soon as possible. That is a very bad way to, it's not a long-term health. You cannot sustain your body that way. Your adrenals are just going to shut eventually. And really 4, stay away from any promises of quick fixes. If you promise on this diet to drop 20 pounds in 3 days, it is hard on the body. Your body does not like to be pushed like that. This is going to be maybe a short-term effect with quite a few bad things happening. So stay away from this. So just be reasonable. Eat plants, listen to your body, don't deprive yourself. You shouldn't be going hungry and starving yourself. Food has to be your friend. It needs to be a source of joy. whatever you decide to do. So if you're looking at the plate and you're thinking, oh my God, I'm going to feel so bad after I eat this, then you got to change something in your life.
Well, I'm really on the same page with a lot of that stuff, especially it's not easy. There's no quick fix. I mean, it's really about doing the right thing and consistently doing the right thing in all aspects of your health.
Consistently. Absolutely right.
Yeah. Yeah. And of course, they can go to Health Matters Coach Facebook site, and there's always good information there, right?
Thank you. Yes, Health Matters Coaching is my Facebook and Instagram, healthmatters.today. I usually post pictures of food, and I post, I'm going to start a blog before too long on my website, healthmatters.today. So more information will definitely be coming out. So stay tuned.
Okay. One final question.
Yes.
The reason I do all this is because I love my life and I want to make it last as long as possible. What's your best advice for how we can make our lives last as long as possible?
Yeah, we all want to live long, happy lives. There's no doubt about this. The first thing that comes to mind, so I went to Washington, D.C. last weekend to International Conference on Nutrition and Medicine. And one of the speakers there was Dan Buettner. If you've heard of him, he is the researcher on blue zones. So he was a former National Geographic correspondent, and then he started researching blue zones in the world. So there are zones where people live longer. There just seems to be a higher concentration of people who are in their 80s, 90s, and 100s. For example, I think Osaka or Okinawa, Japan was one of the blue zones. Ikaria or Ikaria in Greece was another blue zone. People just kind of forget to die over there, is how he said. So he did an amazing speech telling us what he found. And it really comes down to 9 things. The first one was good social network. You need to surround yourself by people who uplift you and support you. You need to belong to the right tribe. We're social people, right? Then you need to move naturally. So that could be many different things. You need to regularly walk, or if you like swimming, maybe swim, or just something. You need to move naturally. You need to know your purpose. So that was very interesting, right? You need to have purpose in life that will keep you on this earth longer. It's passion. It's something that fires you up. Then you need to have routines, how to deal with stress. Even people who live to 100, they all have stress in their lives, but they always have some sort of routines every day that help them downshift. So some people pray, some read the Bible, some people meditate, some people talk to their friends and family. Whatever it is that appeals to you, you need to find a way to deal with stress in your life. Don't just bottle it in. Stop eating when the stomach is 80% full. So that was interesting. It's one of the things he said. So don't overeat, basically. Don't just go crazy on things like that. And then he said plant slant. So I was like, yeah, you got to eat plants. So a lot of those societies, they're very low on meat. They have meat at funerals and weddings and special occasions. Wine at 5. So he does say, hey, they drink a little bit of alcohol in moderation. I mean, I don't drink. It doesn't do much for me, but they just drink a little bit. I know wine here and there. Family first. So they take care of their family. Oftentimes their parents live with them. They take care of their kids for a long time. So there's a lot of family going on. And finally, they belong to some kind of a spiritual practice or faith-based community. So as you can see, not complicated things really, but it's like purpose and faith and spirituality and the right food and movement and all of that kind of coming together. And you potentially can live up to 100.
Yeah, I'm shooting for 120. Okay. So that's my intermediate goal. But yeah, a lot of those things I've been talking about a lot on the podcast. And listen, thanks a lot. And I will be checking out your Facebook and your blog when it comes along. And I will let you know when this is available on runningafever.com.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike. I appreciate the opportunity. It was so fun talking to you. And I love that you're passionate about a lot of things that also interest me as well. We need to have more people like that for sure.
That's right. Well, we'll work together and get there together. All right.
You bet. Thanks so much. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. This is the Padua Podcast Network. PaduaMedia.com.